Okay, so the activity you're going to be doing here, you're going to be doing this with a group, okay? There's going to be, oh, let's say like 3 people in a group or so, okay? And what each of you is going to do, since I think there's 15 cities on there, okay, is each of you will do 5 climate graphs, okay? So you'll draw your 5 climate graphs, and that way your group will have a climate graph for every city that is on the chart you see on the second page. Okay, so you can just look at the second page there. Okay, there's a chart of climate data on that second page. Now, you can use that chart or you can use the link. Okay, if you've got your phone, you want to try using your phone, there's a link on the first page, okay, right here. All right, it says HTTP Climate Weather Office, blah blah blah. Okay, enter the cities, okay, and it'll work here. All right, and of course that's not hot because this file isn't working like that. Let's just do this, and we'll be smart. Okay, so if you go to the weather office thing here, all right, it'll give you this web page here, Canadian Climate Normals, all right, and you can punch in your city, which, and now of course it's different. Okay, I guess you click there, and of course that doesn't work, so don't click there. Yeah, see, nobody can ever keep their website the same. It's always got to get better. Okay, guys, not sure why that's not working. So I guess until I get it figured out, you'll use that chart that you have there because it works just as well. Okay, so you'll have your 5 cities and you're going to draw your climate graphs. That'll take a pretty good portion of today. Okay, now you don't want to make them look like the ones that are on your sheets. Okay, there's a reason I've omitted those. Okay, from this thing here. Okay, what you want is something like this. All right, for your cities. All right, so you're going to have your line here. Okay, remember that the line represents what? Temperature. Okay, so you'll plot your temperature and then you'll just connect the dots. This will be the only time in Science 10 where you will connect the dots on a line graph. Okay, but you do that for a climatogram. Okay, and then of course you'll do the bar graph lines for your precipitation. Okay, and that data on your chart is in rows A and D, I believe. Okay. Yeah, row A is your average monthly temperature. That's what you want to graph for the temperature one. And D is average monthly precipitation in millimeters. All right, those are the 2 things that you'll need to graph. You can ignore rows B and C because they're the average daily high and average daily low, and we don't need those. We just need the average. Okay. Also, the last column on your chart, cross it right off because it is the totals. All right, and you don't need that. Okay, there's no place for totals on a climatogram, and inevitably it really screws people up. Okay, when they start graphing the totals, because then they seem to have this extra month. Okay, you only need January through December. Okay, on your climatogram. Everybody follow me there? Okay, so that's what they'll set up like. This is the most important thing about making your climatograms. You and your group, everybody in your group, needs to use the same scale for temperature and precipitation on their climatograms. Right? If you don't, your climatograms will not be at a glance effective. All right? What I mean is I can just look at it and go, that place is really dry, that place is really wet. Okay? If we all use different scales, you could make Lethbridge, Alberta look as wet as Prince George. All right, and that's then you look at it and you go, oh, those 2 places are really wet, and then you misclassify something. So does everyone follow me there? All right, so what you're going to have to do is decide on the scale. So what you need to do is on your chart, look for the wettest city, okay, the biggest number precipitation-wise. Okay, your scale needs to has to fit that number on it. Everybody follow me there? So you guys decide, same way we did before. Okay, you decide on a scale by taking your biggest number, dividing by the number of lines available. Everybody got me? Okay, and do the same thing for temperature. Now, here's the trick for temperature though. Okay, you can't just pick the biggest number for temperature. You have to look at the biggest number and the smallest, which will be in the negatives, obviously. All right, so you need to divide the range that you have to fit on there, okay, by the number of lines. So if your lowest temperature is minus 35 and your highest temperature is plus 30, then you need to fit 65 on your graph. So you need to go 65 over however many lines there are, put 0 in the middle, and off you go. Okay, everyone follow on that one? That's kind of an important one. People sometimes forget about that and then end up having to change their climatograms after. All right, so those are the two big things. Structure-wise, as long as everyone uses the same scale in your group, you're set. Okay, so back to what we're doing here. So in your hypothesis, we want to generate a hypothesis, okay, about what factors we think affect the climate of an area, and we're going to say that this is specifically places in Canada. All right, now, I think yesterday we went over what factors that affect climate are biggest, okay? So those should probably be included in your hypothesis. I would say list probably the three biggest ones, okay? For whichever three you think are the biggest for cities in Canada, all right, in the if part of your hypothesis. The and part, okay, we're comparing climate graphs of Canadian cities, okay? Then what are you going to be able to see? Okay, are you going to see places that have similar factors, having similar climates, okay, or whatever, right? Something along those lines. Everyone follow? Yes? Okay, there's no design because there's no manipulated, responding, or controlled variables here. We're not actually running an experiment. This is more of a data analysis activity. Okay? All right, so the procedure, like we said here, you're doing your climatograms. Then I'll bring in the atlases, or you can use an online atlas. They tend to be a little better. Okay, in an atlas, locate the cities you chose, okay, from table 1.0, so the ones you did the climatograms for, okay, as well as the three cities, Vancouver, Medicine Hat, and St. John's, that are on your sheet there. Okay, write a brief description of each area. In that description, you need to describe the terrain, if there are large bodies of water, okay, or any other surface features of the area you think could be factors that affect their climate. All right, everybody follow me on that one? Okay, included in that would probably be latitude in degrees, and something that's missing, altitude in meters. All right, so when you're using the atlas, those are the things you should write, okay, about that area. That way, when you're sitting down and you're looking at your climate graphs and you're putting them all in groups, because that's part of the analysis, okay, then you can go back and look at, well, here's what I wrote about Medicine Hat. It's got these factors, and we put Edmonton and Calgary in a group with Medicine Hat, and hey, you know what? They've got kind of the same. We've all written kind of the same thing here. So does that go with our hypothesis? Yes or no? Okay, guys, kind of follow where we're headed there. All right. Okay, so you're going to have to do that for five cities. Well, actually for 8 cities, because each person is going to do Medicine Hat. Okay, Vancouver and St. John's. All right, everyone follow there? Or sorry, not every person. Sorry, each person is going to do 6. You're going to have 3 people in your group, so you're going to do 5 from the chart and 1 of these. Okay, so 1 person in your group will take Medicine Hat, 1 will take Vancouver, 1 will take St. John's. Okay, everyone's good with that? All right, so the analysis part here, with your group, try to group the different climates based on your findings. So you may have a couple of cities that have similar climate and features, okay, and give them an appropriate name. So if you looked at yours and you thought, oh, you know what, St. John, Newfoundland, and Charlottetown, PEI, and Halifax, Nova Scotia all have very similar climates, and they all have similar factors, we'll put them in the Atlantic climate, or the, you know, the maritime climate, whatever you want to call it. Okay, as long as it has sort of an appropriate name. You wouldn't obviously call them Rocky Mountain climate, okay, because they're kind of a long way from there. All right, does that sort of make sense? Group them in there, okay, and then, okay, as an answer to this question, discuss the effect of latitude, large bodies of water, ocean currents, etc., surface features on climate. So you'd say, all right, here's our maritime climate group. These are the things that affect them most, and it causes this type of climate. This is our, you know, prairie group, and it has these factors, and this is, you guys follow what you're looking for there? All right. Okay, then number 2, using an atlas and what you did in question number 1, okay, place the following cities in the groups you made based on factors that affect climate, and explain your reasoning. So where would you put Dawson? Which group would it go in with your other ones? Where would Cambridge Bay go? Where would Northwest Territories go? Where would Prince George go, etc.? Okay, just put them in there and say just a brief reason as to why. All right, so you'll just look them up in the atlas. Just look at where they are. Sometimes in an atlas you can also find a climatogram. That would make it quite a bit easier, but your justification still needs to be based on where they are. Okay? Everybody understand what you're doing there? All right, and then in conclusion, okay, if you can find patterns and you can put them in groups together, you can probably accept your hypothesis. Just do some explanation as to why. All right, Colton, question? It'll be after Christmas. Okay, I'll put a due date up before the end of class today. All right, MJ? No, I won't make it due on the Monday after Christmas, no. Probably like the Wednesday, or something like that. Okay, all right. Any other questions there, guys? All right, so you got a bit of work graphing-wise here for the next little while. Hopefully everyone's got some graph paper. For the most part, you can fit on one piece of graph paper, usually about 3 cities. So you can do 3 climatograms on one sheet if you put them side by side and lay the sheet, okay, the long way down. Right, and then you should be able to get a few cities on one sheet of graph paper. There's a few more pieces at the back. I will copy a few more just in case people need them. Okay. Any other questions? All right, let's get to it. I'll get that done and the atlases for you here in just a sec. Okay, tip here, guys. If you wanted to use the online way, okay, I think I figured it out here. Okay, so you can, instead of clicking, it defaulted when I came to this page as 1981 to 2010. But if you click on 71 to 2000, it gives you, okay, all of these here. Okay, and so you have these options to punch in province or territory, or option B, the city. Type in the city, okay, and click go, and it should take you to the climate data from there. All right, so we'll just give it a quick try here, but that should work. Okay, so here you go, guys. It gives you, when you punch that in, listen up here, guys. Listen up, please, Brennan. Okay, when you punch that in, you get this data here. It gives you the latitude, okay, in degrees and minutes, which is something you need. It gives you the elevation in meters, okay, which is one of the other things you need. And if you click on any one of these, it should also give you, okay, the climate data that you are looking for. All right, precipitation totals in millimeters, okay, in this row right here. And it also gives you, okay, the temperatures down below. No, sorry, that's all precipitation. Days with rainfall. Okay, so guys, sorry, that one, for some reason, that one I clicked on didn't have the temperature stuff, but all the other ones do. Okay, so if you click on them, they should give you temperature first, precipitation second. Okay, it'll give you all the data you want if you follow that link that I gave you on the sheet, okay, on your phone, and then click on the 81 to 2000 historical record. Okay, that'll give you all the data you need. You don't necessarily have to have an atlas. The atlas is just to give you the location and to allow you to see the surface features of the area. You can just as easily get that by going on your browser and searching a Google image search for physical relief map of Canada, and like you'll get pages and pages, okay, of physical relief maps of Canada like this one. All right, from this map, can you see where your cities are? Roughly, okay? You can roughly see where they are, okay? If you can't see them on here, just type them in. Say map of Canada and then put in that city, and usually it'll give you a map that has that city on it. Right? So you can find those, and then you can look here and go, oh, well, Edmonton is kind of on this flat area, and it's near the mountains, you know, there's no big bodies of water, etc. And that's how you would be able to write your description. So your description could sound like that. Okay? Edmonton is kind of in the middle of the continent, not near oceans, a little ways from the Rocky Mountains. Okay? latitude is this, altitude is this, okay? Brief description, because that's what you're going to want to use when you're working on the analysis part of this, okay? And in the analysis part, okay, it says, with your group, try to group the different climates based on your findings. So you've got your description and your climatogram for your 5 cities, and so do your 2 group members. So you're going to look at the climate graphs and go, well, these 3 look the same. Let's put them in a group. These 3 look the same. These 4 look the same. Put them all in groups. Okay? And then look at the descriptions. The descriptions will probably also have similarities. Oh, these ones are all close to mountains. These ones are all close to the Atlantic Ocean. These are all close to the Pacific Ocean or whatever. Everyone follow where we're going here? Okay, then you're going to decide on a group name for those. All right, so if you've got St. John's, Newfoundland, Halifax, Nova Scotia, and Charlottetown, PEI, and they all look the same and they all have similar descriptions, you could call that the maritime climate. Okay, something like that, right? Put them in a group together, whatever. Just make sure the name makes sense. Obviously, you wouldn't call those 3 cities the Rocky Mountain climate. All right, so give them an appropriate name. Because what you're going to do now in part 2 is using an atlas or a map, okay, and what you did in question 1, make up these groups, okay, you're going to take these cities that are listed here, Dawson, Cambridge Bay, Northwest Territories, Prince George, whatever, okay, look at where they are on the map. You can even look up a climatogram for them if you want online, okay, it's quick and easy, all right, put them in the climate groups you made in number 1 and justify why. So you would say, all right, Dawson, Yukon Territory is going to go in this group with these cities because, and give me like a 1-sentence explanation as to why. Everybody follow? Okay, so every member of your group has to do their analysis, okay, especially number 2. All right, what I want to see handed in from each individual is, okay, all of the analysis stuff done yourself, okay, or with your group, but you still have to hand it in individually, and your 5 climatograms. Okay, does that sort of make sense? All right, and then you'll have your conclusion here, okay, and all of that information. So the big thing, guys, like I said, if you're going to use the online stuff, the online weather information here, make sure you click on the 1971 to 2000, okay, type in your city, okay, in there. So if we were looking at this, we could say Edmonton. All right. Oh, it's taking forever here. Okay, so we got station results here, and you can see there's a bunch of them there that have stars beside them, which means they'll have all the information you want. So we'll just take Edmonton City Center Airport, the old Muni Airport that they don't use anymore. Okay, and we can see here, okay, again, latitude given to us. We don't need longitude numbers. Elevation is given to us there. You can see it's quite a bit lower than Calgary. All right, daily average temperatures, okay, and rainfall numbers, right? Sorry, we want precipitation, not rainfall. All right, so you can see those down here. That'll give you all the stuff you need for your climatogram. Okay, just make sure you pick a city that has a star beside it, okay, so you get the information you want. I will go and get some hardcover, old-fashioned book atlases. When they're sitting on the desk, you take the top and you turn it like this. Okay, yeah. All right, and you can use those if you so desire. I don't know how much of the atlas stuff you'll get to today. You may just kind of get to it near the end because it takes kind of a while to build your 5 climate graphs. Okay, questions? Haley. You should be able to fit 3 on a sheet of graph paper if you lay it on its side so that the long edge is along the bottom. You should be able to get 3 climate graphs on one sheet. If you flip it over, you can do 3 more on the back. So, I mean, you only have to do 5. So you should only need really 1 piece of graph paper. All right, and guys, I would recommend you do these ones by hand. It's tough to make Excel put 2 types of graphs on the same graph, a line and a bar graph on the same graph. It just generally doesn't like to do that. Okay, so I would say I'm fine with you handing these ones in, drawn by hand. Okay, that's what you're working on today. Don't reinvent the wheel and go home and do them again. All right, just do them today. All right, recommendation also, when you're drawing the bar graphs, I wouldn't shade them in. Okay, a lot of people were shading in their bars in period 1, and then they put their temperature dots and realized they were right in the middle of the spot they'd shaded, and you couldn't see them anymore. Right, so I would just leave the bars kind of just framed, okay, but don't shade them, or just shade them very lightly in case your temperature dot needs to go in the middle of the bar. All right. Any other questions? All right. I will decide on a due date here at some point while you guys are working. It'll be probably like the, let's say the Wednesday when you come back, okay, from Christmas. All right. Okay.